Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca, Kilo Oscar 4, Kilo Victor Golf, and today I'm going to be setting up an end-fed half-wave antenna at 40 meters using the QRPGuys matching unit. And the reasoning behind this is that we have got this set up at 20 meters and we've had really good success with POTA activations, but in the near future what we want to do is go on hikes for SOTA activations, and we'd really like to have a 40-meter antenna because it's a really popular band, especially for some of the local contacts. Okay, so to set up our end-fed half-wave antenna, we're definitely going to need a few things. As I mentioned before, we're going to need the QRPGuys No-Tune end-fed half-wave antenna. We're going to use some lightweight wire from SOTA beams. This is the same wire we've used to set up the 20-meter band, and we've had really good experiences with it. It's easy to pack up, set up, take down, so we're going to keep with that. We're going to keep some heat shrink tubing here, of course some wire cutters, and a NanoVNA so we can measure to see if our antenna is resonant on 40 meters. As the vast majority of our activations are going to be using a Yaesu FT818, it does not have a tuner and we don't carry that tuner with us, so we definitely need to make sure that the 40-meter antenna is resonant. All right, to begin building our 40-meter antenna, the first thing we have to do is measure out the wire. For 40 meters, we want our minimum SWR at 7.2 megahertz because we mainly operate in the phone portion of the 40-meter band. So to break out that math, it's 300 over 7.2, which gives us roughly 41.67 meters. Half of that is going to be about 20.5 meters, so we're going to target 66 feet. Now that we have established that our antenna is going to be 66 feet, let's go out and measure it. That should give us about 66 feet. And there you have it. All right, now that we've got the antenna wire measured out, I've marked the center of the wire with a Sharpie because what I'd like to do is to add a loop so I can more readily hang the antenna. So to do that, I need a small piece of paracord as well as 2 pieces of heat shrink, and I'm going to affix these to the wire. So first, I've already found one end. I'm going to put the pieces of heat shrink on. Get that around that little edge. Thread these, push these along to around my halfway point. And here we are. Get it recentered. Here we go. Put that out of the way so I can work with it. I'm just going to put the pieces of paracord in here like this. Here, I want to make sure that the loop is enough in there where it's not going to readily just pop out the moment you try to use it. So we've got a loop here going on. Now what we're going to do, add a little heat to shrink the heat shrink around and secure the paracord to the wire. Right, now we're going to heat the heat shrink. Right, now that we've gotten the loop secured to our wire, I'm going to take one end and strip the wire so I can fix it to the QRPGuys matching unit. And to easily hang the wire, I'm going to take the other end and make a loop and secure that loop with another piece of heat shrink. So now, I'm going to take this end here. Before that, put the shrink wrap on. Find out real quick you're going to need that. Just twist down the loop. Like that right here. Slide the shrink wrap on. This here pull nut. Now we have our end for hanging. Alright, now that we have the antenna prepared, the next step of course would be to tune it. But to do that, I want to simulate how I would use it in the field. And to do that, I want to hang it the same way I would use it in the field. Do that with paracord. And attach that said paracord to an Nalgene bottle that's about 1/4 full. The reason why I use an Nalgene bottle is I take them with me hiking, and they're readily available, of course, and they're easy to throw in the tree to get the antenna hoisted. All right, now it's time to get the paracord in the tree so I can have a point to get my antenna hung up. Now it looks like we've got the paracord high enough in the tree. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my antenna and hoist it up. Right, got the center point here of the antenna. I'm going to use this loop to hoist it to the tree. So we've got our full loop. I'm going to take the paracord that's up in the tree here. I'm going to feed it through. Then we're going to tie it around. Just double knot that just to be on the safe side. Then we're going to circle back to the Nalgene here and hoist it up. Alright, now I've finally got both ends separated. I'm going to go ahead and finish hoisting it up. This branch here is about as high as I'm going to get it. Keep it right about there. Now let's affix the other end to a nearby tree. Alright, now that we've got the end of the antenna here secure in the tree, time to go ahead and calibrate and tune. To calibrate the NanoVNA for measurements in the 40-meter band, I set the display range between 6.8 MHz and 7.8 MHz so I could see where the initial dip in SWR was. Once I set this range, I performed the open calibration, then the short, and then the load, and finally saved it to a channel, thus completing the calibration. And now for the moment of truth, tuning the antenna. Again, I want my minimum SWR at about 7.2 MHz, so time to hook up the NanoVNA to the antenna to see how I did. What's not apparent in this video is that when measuring out the wire, I actually miscounted the length, making it too short. So instead of having the intended 66 feet of wire, I actually had about 61 feet. Therefore, I was fully expecting to have to start all over again with a new piece of longer wire. But before doing that, I wanted to tune the wire I had to determine if it was going to be usable in any way. This ended up being a good call. Without having to make any further adjustments to the length, the antenna had an SWR of about 1.6 at 7.2 MHz. Therefore, I decided to leave well enough alone and write that off as beginner's luck on my first antenna build. And now the fun part. Hooking up the 40-meter antenna to the Yaesu FT818 and spinning the dial to see if we could get a contact. I quickly made a contact as a POTA hunter with an operator near my hometown. I enjoyed speaking with him about places back home, and he enjoyed hearing from hams playing radio in the backyard on a chilly Saturday afternoon. The next day, Ben and I took the antenna out to Charlie Elliott Wildlife Center to see how well the antenna would perform in the field. Unfortunately, there was not a lot of activity on 40 meters that day, so we'll have to take it out for another spin and then get back to you on how well it performed. Until then, Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. 73.